Okay, on the homework, number 1, the slope is 0. Number 2 is negative 3/4. Number 3 is positive 3/4. Number 4, the slope is undefined. Number 5, the slope of CE is 1/2. The slope of DF is 3/5, so those are neither parallel nor perpendicular. Number 6, the slope of CF is negative 5/3. The slope of DF is positive 3/5, so those are perpendicular. Number 7, the slope of CF is negative 5/3. The slope of DE is negative 5/2, so those are neither. Number 8, the slope of PQ is 1/3. The slope of QR is negative 1/3, so they are neither. Number 9, the slope of PS is 1/3. The slope of QR is also 1/3, so they are parallel. Number 10, the slope of PR is undefined. The slope of QS is 0, and that's the special case of a horizontal line and a vertical line. They are perpendicular. Number 11, y equals 3x minus 5. Number 12, y equals negative 5/3 times parentheses x plus 3 plus 2. Number 13, either y equals negative 6/7 times parentheses x minus 2 plus 5, or y equals negative 6/7 times parentheses x plus 5 plus 11. Number 14, y equals 3x plus 6. Number 15, y equals 7. Number 16, either y equals 3/2 times parentheses x minus 9 plus 8, or y equals 3/2 times parentheses x minus 3 minus 1. All right, questions about any of the ones on the first page? Braden?
10.
Number 10, okay. All right, so let's start by finding the slope of PR. So how did you find the slope for PR?
So, I took negative 1 and negative 5, like I did negative 1 minus negative 5,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got 4.
I'm sorry?
I got 4,
Okay.
and then I did negative 1 negative 1 minus negative 1,
Which is?
0.
Right. And 4 divided by 0 is?
0.
No.
Wait, no.
You can't divide by 0.
So it'd be nothing.
It's undefined. Not nothing, but undefined.
Yeah, undefined.
All right, and the slope for QS, how did you find that?
Negative 3 minus negative 3,
Right.
and I got 0 as well.
Uh-huh.
And then, okay, so, and then I did negative 7 minus 5.
Right, and that's negative 12?
Yeah.
And that's equal to 0. Excuse me for just a second. Yes. Ask Jonathan to go back to Art to get his computer. Can do?
Oh.
Yeah. That's fine.
I forgot.
No problem. All right, so if the slope is undefined, that's because it's a vertical line. So for this part, that slope, that line is going straight up and down. A line whose slope is 0 is going horizontally. So those two are going to be perpendicular to one another.
So if it's ever like that, that means they're perpendicular?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, what other questions do you have from page 1. All right, then moving on to page 2. For number 17, we're going through the point -2 on the y-axis with a slope of 3/4. So it should look something like this. For number 18, we're going to go through the point 2, 1, or excuse me, -2, 1, with a slope of 4/3. Or we could have gone the other way. And it'll look something like this. Number 19, y equals 4 is just a horizontal line going through the y-axis at 4. And for number 20, we're going to go through the point 1, -2 with a slope of -3/5. So we could have also gone up 3 into the left 5. So our line should look like this. Are there any questions about any of those four before we go on to the next section? Yes, sir. 20, all right. So typically what I tell people they should do is go ahead and subtract the 2 so that it's on the other side of the equation. So we'll subtract 2 from both sides and get y is equal to -3/5 times x minus 1 minus 2. And remember, for your x coordinate with what's in the parentheses, it's always going to be the opposite of the sign that's here. So this will be +1. And the y coordinate will be the same sign. It'll be -2. So we're going to go through the point 1, -2 with a slope of -3/5. So from this point, we can go down 3 and to the right 5 to get our next point, or remember, that's the same thing as 3 over -5. We could go up 3 and to the left 5 to get our next point. Okay? Any other questions on those four? All right, then for number 21, so for time, I labeled this as hours after noon and just went by ones. Be sure that I didn't know that this was such a big problem, but be sure that these, whatever you're spacing them by, is constant. Some of you spaced some things one way and then the next one was, the first one was 50 and the next one was 200. And I'm like, no, you can't do that. They've got to all be spaced the same way. And then over here I went by 5s. It's probably not enough room. Let me go by 10s. It'll fit a lot better, won't it? So this is the number of boards painted. Again, those axes have to be labeled. So at 2 p.m. he had painted 25 boards, so that'll be right between the 20 and the 30. And at 5 p.m. he had painted 61 boards, so just above the 60. To find the slope for those, we need the coordinates of these points. So this is 225, and this is 561. So the slope will be equal to 61 minus 25 over 5 minus 2. That's 36 over 3, which is 12. And notice the units on top, this is also why you really want to label these. The units on top were number of boards painted, and this is in hours. So the units on this is boards painted per hour. So for your interpretation, it should be something like this. From 2 p.m. until 5 p.m., James painted an average, and I noticed a couple of you are putting at a constant rate. We do not know that. We can't know that it's constant. Or even if you just say that it's a rate of, we don't know that that rate is always the same. You have to say that it's at an average rate of 12 boards per hour. There are probably other things that would be acceptable for you to write, but that's, I think, the shortest, easiest way to write it. You always want to include the context of what's going on. When was it? It's from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Who was it? It was James. What was he doing? He's painting an average of 12 boards per hour. Any questions about that? Okay. Then let's move on to the last page. For number 22, the slope of AB is -2, and the slope of XY is 7/3, so those are neither parallel nor perpendicular. Number 23, the slope of MN is -3. The slope of ST is +1/3, so those are perpendicular. Number 24 is -5/3. 25 is 7/5. 26, you don't have to do any work on this one. You can just look at them and know that they are parallel. Number 27, you have to rewrite the second equation so that you get y equals 3/7 x minus 10/7. So those two are parallel. They have the same slope, but not the same y-intercept. Number 28, you have to rewrite both of them. They both rewrite to y equals 4/5 x plus 10. So those two coincide. Number 29, you might think you have to do some work on that, but you actually don't. If you'll just look at the two equations, they clearly do not have the same slope. Therefore, they intersect. And that's all you have to do. All right, questions on this page? Okay. 27, okay. So we want to rewrite this equation. We already know that the slope is 3/7 and the y-intercept is -10. So we want to see, well, what's the slope and the y-intercept on this one so that we can compare the two. So we want the y to be by itself, so I'm going to add 3x to both sides to start with. So I'll still have 7y, but I won't have any x's left on the left, equals 3x minus 10. Then I still need to get y by itself, so I'll divide both sides of the equation by 7. That'll be y is equal to 3/7 x minus 10/7. And don't let it bother you that that doesn't come out to be something nicer. So the slope for this one is also 3/7. So the slopes are the same, but their y-intercepts are not the same. The y-intercept on the second one is -10/7. So since they have the same slope but different y-intercepts, they are parallel to each other. Okay? Anything else on this last page? Okay then.